to the 2025 Paris Airshow. A lot of commentators out there have said that we had a subdued show this year, and in some ways that's true, but we did still see a flurry of orders for the likes of Airbus and Embraer. This year we were treated to some spectacular flying displays featuring everything from passenger jets to advanced prototype helicopters. We got the chance to meet some of the pilots flying those displays to learn more about their aircraft and what goes into showcasing them in front of airshow goers and, of course, prospective customers. We also posed some of your burning questions sent to us on social media. We took a look at 3 Airbus aircraft performing this year: the Racer helicopter, the A400M and the A350-1000. Now, suffice to say, these are all very different aircraft. What's not different is the expertise and the professionalism of the crews that fly them. Let's meet some of them, starting with the Airbus Racer. Behind me is the Airbus Racer. This is Airbus's attempt to combine the best aspects of a rotary aircraft and a fixed-wing aircraft, and really mostly just to build a helicopter that can fly at speed. One of the disadvantages of helicopters is that they generally are quite slow, and they're often used for very urgent missions such as search and rescue and medical evacuation. Now, this helicopter, we recently tracked it on Flight Radar 24 flying at 240 knots. Now, that's around 50% faster than an average helicopter flies, and it's actually 20 knots faster than the target speed of the type.
This Airbus Racer is a demonstrator, clearly. So it's like a concentrate of the technology and innovation. Well, we decided to build it just see and not see, even prove that we could build a very fast helicopter just by changing some feature in an original helicopter. And this feature, the obvious thing is the small wings and the lateral rotors. People tend to see them as propellers, but it's the lateral rotors indeed. That's how it is. And it's way faster.
What kind of speeds have you achieved with the helicopter?
Well, initially our target when we started the program we were aiming for 220 knots. Quite about 50% higher than a normal helicopter in cruise. At the 7th flight, so very early in the flight opening, we achieved 227, which was already quite nice. And then with some additional work, a specific fairing on the rotor head and landing gear traps, we were able to fly at 240 a few weeks ago. So that's where we are now, and that's a pretty decent speed.
What does the role of the flight test engineer look like in this kind of aircraft? Because we've spoken to a lot of flight test engineers on the commercial side. Is there any differences with the role that you do in the helicopter?
For the flight test engineer in this aircraft, we are 2 flight test engineers, so we have 2 different roles on board. My role is a test flight engineer to assist for the pilot and also the engineer on the back in order to manage the limitations from the front, also the limitation by the flight data in the FTI with the flight test engineer on the back. So it's a very the work of the crew team to operate and to perform the first flights of the demonstrator helicopter.
Actually, Christophe has a very versatile role because he's test flight engineer, so helping me to monitoring all the parameters. He's also a co-pilot, so he can fly the aircraft if he has to. And he's also the link, very important link with all the ground crew, the mechanics that are preparing the aircraft. So he has a very deep knowledge of all the systems.
Sit down one day and say, right, we're going to demonstrate this aircraft. What happens next?
Yeah, well, I like this question actually. Really, the point is to put the emphasis on what's different. That's the reason why, for example, we take off and we wait. We are in a waiting area in order to be able to, when we arrive at the maximum speed. So for that, we need to be in advance. So that's the first point. High speed, and we make a low pass at more than 200 knots. And the first visual effect is we are flying level at high speed. That's the point. After, the second maneuver we do is a wing over in order to demonstrate that by its helicopter we have this capacity to make a highly maneuverable helicopter, and that's part of it. Steep turn also because thanks to the wings, the aircraft is very stable in its trajectory, so we are able basically to enter 360 steep turn, some high speed, and end up in hover. That's quite unique as a feature. And the one that is for me the most unique is when we do from hover, we accelerate and we pick up some speed 40, 50 knots maximum, 25 to 30 degrees slope, and we can maintain that forever. At one point, obviously, we have to stop, but and we end in hover. No other helicopter can do that. No airplane can do that. So this is really the specific maneuver of the Racer.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Major Gabriel. I'm the team leader of the A400M tactical display team, display for the French Air Force here in Salon Le Bourget at Paris.
For me, Gigi, I'm the pilot playing of the display.
Hi everyone. For my part, I go down in the cargo hold and open the paratrooper door, put the French flag outside before I go back to the cockpit.
Captain Alexandre, and for my part, I pilot monitoring, so I manage the speed and the configuration of the aircraft during the demo.
Warrant Officer Clément, and I perform the pre-flight and the post-flight of the aircraft.
And how to develop the display, I'm focused on what we do for operations with that aircraft. I wanted to show all the envelope of the aircraft in front of the public. That's why we're gonna go to a maneuver up to 120 degrees of bank and so on. We're gonna show also landing precision of the aircraft. It's the normal law we have as military aircraft from Airbus. I think I'm free to present all I want to present, but during the preparation of the season, we're gonna pass specific rendezvous with our security chief to be sure that every maneuver are what the Air Force want to show and if they agree with what we want to display.
Tell me about how you go about creating the flying display for the A350 and how it shows the best of what the aircraft can do.
Preparing a flight display for an air show, it's something in parentheses regarding our career and what we do in general at the flight test. So that requires some preparation that begins a couple weeks before the air show, where we first go to a simulator and we rehearse the maneuvers. We're trying to keep the volume with all the restrictions, and we prepare also for the emergencies. And we spend some time there to save some fuel at the sim.
How much control do you have over the profile for the display? Is it you that sort of says, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, or does that come from somewhere else?
Well, it's all us. But it has to be validated by the management. So it says, okay, the maneuvers are okay to be done. And at the end, 1 week before the air show, we actually come here. We perform the maneuvers, making sure that they are within the frame of the volume, and is validated by the authority saying, okay, it's safe, it's okay. At the end, it's the air show who decides if it's fine to fly.
Are there any moments in the display where the aircraft is at the edge of its capability?
We are trying to get the maximum we can get from the aircraft, so we go to the limits within the normal law. So we stay always in the envelope of the aircraft, trying to show what is the maximum capabilities. Normally we do quite slow to show that the movement of the aircraft is capable to do it, but we remain always in the limits, within the limits.
The role of test flight engineer for the display or for the all flight test is also the same, is to prepare the aircraft before the flight. And during the flight, I am the cockpit just between the two pilots, and I manage to supervise all the system in the flight to check all is okay for perform the display.
We asked for your burning questions for test pilots on social media, and you didn't disappoint. From test flight toilet trips to their favourite types of aircraft, here's what the crew had to say. Do you guys have to go through any additional training or selection to get on the tactical display team?
Yes, absolutely. We are all for the pilot part and Loadmaster as well. So we are all instructors in the 61st wing, which operates the A400M all years long. And we are volunteered and selected to perform the training and also the displays of the Airbus 400M. So yes, basically we are all selected and volunteered for doing this.
For all the crew, we spent some years in a flight test school, of course, but we came from different careers. There is some people coming from civil, from military career, and then after we joined the flight test, we spent 1 year at least on a flight test school. Then after we joined a different flight test center. At the end we are there with Airbus, but yes, it's really different personality, different way to go to flight test.
And here you have a sample of Airbus at its best, because you have one engineer from the French Air Force, one other engineer from the French Army, one pilot from the Spanish Air Force, and another pilot from the French Navy. So it's a mix of everything, and that's what makes the Airbus.
During the display, I have a seat in the third crew in cockpit. I check and help the pilots to ATC communication. For the part of the flag, I go down in the cargo hold and put the French flag outside and go back to the cockpit.
Just like to emphasize that in every single flight we operate in the A400M, we have a loadmaster on board that carry on loading and unloading of both passengers and material or troops that they have. So it's really important for us to show what a whole team can do, and particularly in this part where the loadmaster opens the cargo door, he shows that we are able to drop things from the aircraft while it is aloft. And that's the whole reason we have this part of the show, to show this particularity of the military aircraft.
Okay, it's a stupid question. Do you have time to go to the toilet during a display?
I think technically it's possible, but I think it would be very challenging to go there. So we don't do it basically.
During the display, not really, but on most test flights, sometimes where it's calm and we can have a break, physical break. So yeah, we have time generally, or we take it if it's an emergency.
Squawk 7700.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting test point for the display.
Can the aircraft do a barrel roll? Is it capable?
In fact, no, we are not able to do that. In a normal low, we're gonna be blocked by the flight controls at 120 maximum.
Alors, I know that in the history, Ted Johnson did this on the 707. He was nearly fired. If we were to do this on a 350, we would have to cut and to degrade some normal lows because the aircraft is protected against this. But if we were to do this, that would be probably the last flight of our career. So technically we could.
In normal laws, there is some protection in terms of bank, so we are limited to 66 degrees. So to make a whole barrier, it will be a little bit difficult.
If you could work on any other aircraft apart from the A400M, what would you like to work on?
Well, that's a tough question. Probably we'll be flying the A330 MRTT, which is also a great aircraft as well.
Maybe a fighter. I would say the Rafale.
It's not an aircraft for me, it's a chopper. The EC-145. It's an amazing chopper.
Maybe aircraft like Canada to fight against fire on ground, maybe? Water bomber? Yes, I think.
For me, it's old aircraft. It's the Spitfire.
My old aircraft, C-160 Transal.
The 350 for me.
You mentioned A350, right? So that's right today. No, I enjoy particularly the A400. It's a very versatile aircraft, and yes.
I have to think about something that would be more fun to fly than this one. Not so easy. I think that's probably the best thing I've ever flown. I've flown many different aircraft, helicopters, and this one's.
I think it's already the same because we have very different sensation in this aircraft. We not have it with the standard helicopter, so the acceleration, deceleration, nose up, and very impressive, and I think it's the best.
Is it ever scary to fly a new aircraft for the first time?
I would say no, it's not scary, but it's impressive because on my side, I was coming from the Air Force flying a small aircraft, fighters, but a small size. But in here, you see the size of a big aircraft is impressive. So the beginning is everything is new, so you get used to it quite often, so quite easy. So at the end, it's a question of getting used to it.
When we are flying an aircraft first time, we are working for 5-6 years before just to prepare everything. So when we are flying there, we have the instruments from the design office for all the guy who prepares the flight. So it's not scary. It's an honor to represent all this guy doing the flight.
Clearly, the answer is no. I think if you are nervous before a first flight, it means that you are not prepared. And the way we work, we have been on this program years before the first flight. So we know so much of the insight and how it is done and how the engineers have designed it, that this is... And we do also simulator. We have a fixed base simulator for research. The first flight is more an achievement and a step. I can say that we are like totally cool and we are more concentrated. It's intense because you want to make sure that you don't miss anything. But scary would not be the right word.
So there you have it. A lot of planning, a lot of practice, and no trips to the toilet during a flying display. What's the best flying display you've seen? Let us know in the comments below.